Saltburn is one of the most controversial films that's been released in recent history, which isn't something new for the film's director and writer Emerald Fennell, whose directorial debut, Promising Young Woman, received substantial praise, but also intense backlash from a very vocal minority. Saltburn has met similar reception, but many of its critiques come from the disgust over some of the movie's more shocking scenes, instead of the disdain for the film's overall story. Personally, I think Saltburn is one of the most well-written, captivating, and dare I say beautiful films from the last few years. Before I get into the thick of it, I want to apologize to any viewers who came from my last video expecting another love letter to a heartwarming and uplifting movie. That video will come soon, but this is not that video. And if you haven't seen Saltburn, the rest of the video will contain spoilers. Most discussions of Saltburn feature the movie's trifecta of shocking and disturbing scenes. I'm going to get this discussion out of the way so that we can all enjoy the rest of the video in peace. I was just as appalled as anyone else by the actions I watched occur, but behind the initial surprise, I was able to appreciate the insights that these scenes gave us into Oliver's emotions, obsessions, and compulsions, especially because of Barry Keoghan's captivating performance. The grave scene stands out to me as the most interesting. Before Oliver discusses us, we see him overwhelmed by grief, grasping at the dirt upon Felix's grave, doing anything he can to mimic his embrace one final time. The visceral emotion is something that anyone who's lost someone they cared about can relate to. But then, Oliver commits the unforgivable act, and we're reminded that despite having very real and vivid emotions that we can all relate to, he lacks any morals or boundaries for those emotions. Barry Keoghan isn't the only stellar performance in the cast. Rosamund Pike has deservedly received many nominations for her portrayal of Elspeth Catton, the matriarch of the Catton family. Throughout the movie, she delivers her absurd lines with the unwavering candor and confidence of Elspeth.
I was a lesbian for a while, you know, but it was all just too wet for me in the end. Men are so lovely and dry.
Rosamund gives the character life through the repressed emotions that she occasionally lets slip onto her face and into her voice.
Oliver, darling, why don't you tell us about last night?
Jacob Elordi also flaunts his talents as the painfully charming and charismatic Felix Catton, whose caring and sincere nature is blemished by the savior complex he's inherited from his mother, along with his ignorant privilege and entitlement. At times, Saltburn can feel like it's trying to be too many things and spreading itself too thin. Is it an Eat the Rich storyline? Is it a character study on a semi-modern psychopath? Is it a twisted love story? I view it as a statement on how the modern systems of class and social structure bring out the worst of humanity and elevate an individual's moral attributes to the extreme. Despite Oliver's sinister tendencies, there's nothing to suggest that he had everything planned from the start. If you were to tell Oliver of the atrocities he would commit at the start of the movie, he would be almost as surprised as we were. The core of the movie is watching how Oliver's intentions and morals get pushed further and further by the social structure fabricated by the Cattons. Ollie's initial plot is simply to put on a show that Felix will enjoy. Things start to change when Oliver lets his facade down and shows his disdain for Felix's spoiled nature.
Only rich people can afford to be this filthy.
Fuck off.
I mean, you got fucking
Mate, stop it, I'll do it later, it's fine.
As Oliver walks away from the bar, he displays extremely real emotions, mourning the loss of someone he cared so deeply for. As a desperate last attempt, he fabricates the lie of his father's death, which marks the beginning of him digging a deeper and deeper hole that he won't be able to escape. When Ollie arrives at Saltburn, his obsession begins to encompass Saltburn and the wealthy lifestyle, in addition to Felix himself. This obsession is once again threatened by the pettiness of the Cattons, as exemplified by their treatment of Pamela, another Saltburn outsider.
Don't bang on about it, Pamela, darling. You know we're delighted to have you for however long it is you mean to stay.
Forever?
It is only once Oliver realizes that his current situation is not sustainable that he digs his claws deeper and deeper into the family, grasping at anything he can to remain a part of their lives. His actions are inexcusable, but far from inexplicable. The hospitality of the Catton family only exists temporarily as a means of feeling good about themselves. When Oliver's secret is revealed and his time at Saltburn is coming to an end, he does everything he can to remedy his relationship with Felix before ultimately murdering him. We see him take a moment before revealing himself to prepare his monologue and convince himself what needs to be done in the worst case scenario. His preceding monologue reveals a lot about his intentions throughout the film.
Look, I just gave you what you wanted!
like everyone else does.
He's trying desperately to move forward without having to kill Felix, but he dug himself too deep. Immediately after, he mourns the loss of his original obsession. He is not an emotionless psychopath, at least not yet. He is a pathological liar who became captivated by a rich lifestyle and was pushed to the brink by the self-admittedly cold-blooded Cattons. And Oliver isn't the only one to succumb to his darkest attributes as a result of the Cattons. Farley, played by Archie Madekwe, is another outsider to the family, even though he's related by blood. The Cattons take pity on Farley and support their relative, but only under the condition that he be exactly who they want him to be. His resulting insecurities manifest in a biting, sarcastic humor at the expense of others, particularly Oliver.
Wow, it's a rental, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the sleeves are too long. Always check the sleeves.
He sees the game that Oliver is playing because he's been playing it too, even though there's no reason he should have to. You might think that going through similar experiences could bond Farley and Ollie, but the social system of Saltburn pits them against each other. After Felix's death, Sir James Catton, portrayed by Richard E. Grant, blows up at Farley because he exhibits real emotions and is unable to act the part that Sir James and Elspeth want him to play.
Farley! Will you be quiet? Sit down and eat the bloody pie. Just eat it, and shut up! Eat the bloody pie!
Farley could be categorized as an antagonist, but he is still a victim. The Catton's daughter Venetia, played by Alison Oliver, also adds a new dimension to the narrative. She is aware of her family's flaws and likes to believe that she is above them, but ultimately she gives into the same mentality. Venetia constantly calls out her mother and brother's entitlement, but when she doesn't get what she wants, she uses her family's actions as ammunition and sinks to their levels.
It's just so disappointing. You're just another one of his toys.
In the end, no character escapes their compulsions and desires, and they all fall victim to Saltburn. The rest of Saltburn's production choices only add to the already immersive storylines. I could pause the movie at almost any time and appreciate its beauty and intention. The 4:3 aspect ratio lets you focus on the phenomenal acting and makes the House of Saltburn feel even more mystifying and entrancing. Most of the shots don't need dynamic camera work to captivate the audience, but achieve this through their dynamic lighting, stylized framing, and beautiful costumes. Additionally, the film has both a perfect score and perfect soundtrack. Each song chosen is relevant to the scene and is a reminder of the 2006 era in which the movie takes place. Anthony Willis's score is beautiful, and at times it draws attention to Oliver's twisted motives.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, go on.
It also elevates the emotional scenes, especially the maze song featuring the most devastating chords I've ever heard when Elspeth finds Felix's body in the maze. Beyond the wonderful production, every character is extremely full, complex, and purposeful. Every necessary piece of information about the characters is revealed through their fashion, body language, and dialogue. It's clear to me that Emerald Fennell put a lot of effort into not only creating the backstories and motives for her characters, but making sure this information was portrayed to the audience as well. Every action and event within the movie is a direct result of something else that exists within the movie. Even Oliver's big, somewhat cheesy speech at the end can be explained within the context of the movie. When Ollie first arrives at Oxford, he meets Michael Gavey, portrayed by Ewan Mitchell. Michael is a socially inept genius who can't hold back his desire to demonstrate his superior intellect.
Please, come on. No, I believe.
Fucking ask me some then!
Similarly, Oliver struggles with the desire to reveal his twisted genius, even at the expense of his success, so he takes full advantage when he finally has an outlet to share his story. There are no random occurrences or obvious plot devices. This is what immersed me on my first watch through and made it even more enjoyable to dissect on a second viewing. There are a lot of differing opinions about Saltburn, and they're almost all valid. This movie isn't for everyone, but I wasn't able to stop reminiscing the cinematography and dissecting the characters well after it ended. Even if you didn't enjoy the movie, I hope this video gave you some insight into why a sane person can appreciate it. I plan for my next video to be closer to the Walter Mitty video essay, which I did not expect to be so well received. Thank you to everyone who showed support and gave suggestions. I will do everything I can to take them all to heart. I hate to say this, but it really would mean a lot to me if you could like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment below, even a disapproving one. Thank you all. See you next time.